fundamental argument is whether or not the thing that is being done to that person is justified or unjustified. So we would say
Right.
any situation in which there's an initiation of force would be unjustified under any situation. So for
Yeah.
instance, if I could give you another
Well, I don't
situation.
even
So
think
let's say, and I want to throw you
hold
a
on.
hypothetical. Is that okay, real quick?
Yeah,
So
sure.
let's say there's a guy and he says, let's say some weird situation where somebody has like a weird disease. If they don't stab somebody or punch somebody in the face, um, they're gonna die in the next 30 minutes. Are you gonna let that person die, or are you gonna let him punch you in the face? Like, are you obligated to let him punch you in the face to let him live?
Uh, uh, this is difficult to me.
Would he
So
have the
I'm
right to
compelled to say
punch you in the
yes, but
face?
also to say no.
Yeah, like that's what I'm trying to say. Like, would he have the right to punch you in the
It's not
face?
whether or not like you would go, yeah, I want to get punched in the face so you can live. It's like, does he have the right to punch you in the face? Like, punch
Yeah.
anyone for that sake.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess what I'm leaning towards is yes, but it's
All right, yeah, but
sounds
like the
like
problem with that is that we can just change punching to like just go continuing and more severe, and then just see what is the difference here. Because
Okay,
what
well,
if we just
now I'm gonna
obviously
punch
if
you.
it's there
Yeah,
comes a
sure. Let him punch me. I'll stab you. Okay, let him stab me. Okay, I'll let him rape your ass. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I
Like,
think if he has to rape, then yeah, I think there's probably no right to that. But
yeah,
if like a
exactly. But like, what's
or if it's like
what's the
a say it's
difference
like a
here?
pinch, or say it's like one of your hairs is plucked out, or say it's like one atom is plucked from a stick that you own, and it's like he either dies or he has to secretly pluck an atom from one of your sticks. It's like I'd be like, okay, in those cases, he can probably do that, right? Like one atom from one of my sticks. It's like this is scarcely even violating my property. And it's like,
yeah, but it seems
I'm
like it's now based on your whim, basically how you feel. Like,
Yeah,
in this situation, I think it's
uh,
okay. In this situation, I think it's okay.
that's
I
I
don't
think it's
think
pretty
so.
rationally about
yeah,
the severity of the action.
it's
It's
just
not
not a
like a whim.
coherent property theory.
Yeah, but it's
It's
not
not a
coherent.
property
Like,
theory. It's pure whim worship. You don't have any objective rules to distinguish when aggression is
I mean,
okay and when
look,
distress
I
is
think
not.
stealing an atom is pretty damn severe. Like, I think, look, if you steal my atom, man, I'm gonna hold a grudge against you for the rest of my life. I mean,
Damn
you
straight.
can't
I'm not
be
gonna
stealing
happy
atoms.
about that. Yeah,
No,
I mean,
you
like,
can't.
Well,
No,
I
you
mean,
can't.
well,
It's worse
actually,
than rape.
I guess so what I'm not doing here is forwarding some alternative view, right? Where it's like you should have my view instead. I don't have any worked out normative ethics. That's something very interesting. But what I'm wondering is whether or not your view is true, right? And I guess on the face of it, it seems pretty unintuitive, right? It seems like there's
yeah, but that's not
some
an argument.
pretty unintuitive situation. Well, if what's motivating the view is the question, right? It's unintuitive.
Well, we
Right? I
don't
think
want to saying
intuition.
it's unintuitive. It's just like it's not an argument. That's like so.
Well, I'm not claiming it's an argument.
That's like your opinion.
Well, I wouldn't characterize intuitions as opinions, but I'm just wondering what's the motivation for the view.
I mean,
Like,
intuition.
why would I
Like, how do
believe?
you come to your
Well,
intuitions?
So
I
I'm
guess
just
if I
wondering what the
can-
motivation for the view is. That's the question.
There's the two motivations. There's the philosophical one, and then there's the practical, consequential one. Which route do you want to go down?
Give me the philosophical one.
All right, that's your guys. I don't believe in the philosophical ones. You guys do it.
I don't know.
I'm
Wait,
not a more realist, but I will say that any argument that you give that to justify any violations of another person's rights can then be turned against you. You would then have no real ground in arguing that thing can't be done to you.
Right. So the main
Well,
thing
yeah.
when it comes to, like the philosophical argument here for the NEP is that you have to provide from a proposition you get its negation, and that any negation of the NEP, any deviation from it, would inevitably fall into some sort of contradiction. Contradictions are false, thus the NEP is true.
Oh, you think it's
No.
logically necessary that the NAP is true?
Yes, I think the NEP is an axiom.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And I
Wait,
despise David
logical
Friedman.
necessity is when you have like a formula that's true in every single valuation. Like you think if
Yes.
we formalize the NEP and then put it into a truth table, every
We're about to
single
get our
one is
asses
true.
whooped.
I think the
Yeah,
NEP
we
is an
should
axiom.
probably stray away from the moral
well,
realism thing.
Well,
What I'm
I
trying
just
to
want to
say-
know.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what this guy's
And
view is.
I
This seems
dis-
outrageous. How about
And
this?
I
Okay.
despise David Friedman. Just
Okay.
hold on. Yeah.
Doggo. So
Yeah.
I want to be clear. The claim right now is that
Mhm.
if you put the NAP into a truth table, like you formalize it, you translate it to prop logic, and put it into a
Mhm.
truth table, it'd be true in every single row.
Yeah, the NEP is objectively true.
Okay. Can you? I guess let me get a. Do you know what it would be formalized? Like, have you translated it into prop logic before?
Something about argumentation ethics.
Well, not exactly, but I get what you're saying.
And Cap Doggo, have you like translated this into prop logic before?
This specifically, no. I don't get how it.
Well, we can do it together because I think this is like incredibly implausible.
Well, to be clear, Vivian, it wouldn't be prop logic. It would just be axiomatic, right? Because it's an axiom.
Yeah, it's because because we believe the NEP is an axiom. That's the point.
Well, no,
like
no.
action is-
Logically necessary. I gave the definition. It's when it's true in every valuation, right? So like negation, P and not P, right? This is true in every valuation. No matter what truth value you assign to P, it's going to turn out it's true. The whole formula.
Yes. So if it was a logical axiom, it wouldn't need to be propped because it would be presupposed.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're not understanding what's being said. If it's something is logically necessary, then it's true in every valuation, right? And so to determine
Correct,
that,
because it's
what we
necessary.
need is the formula. Yeah, what we need is the formula. And then we put it into a truth table and see, is it true in every single valuation, in every row of the truth table? That's how you determine like logical necessity, just like the tautology and logic. And so like, I'm just wondering, one, I guess we can do it together. Because to me, the only way that you can be upholding this is either...
Yeah,
don't know
I am so disinterested in that.
You don't
I
Well, I
just
guess
want to
we
talk
don't want
about
to.
socialism.
We could look
bad.
at something else. Okay, how about this? I'll ignore the
Well, no,
logical
but like,
necessity.
hold on. Your like reason why socialism bad fundamentally stems from your ethical principles, and like, but you don't want to talk about your ethical principles.
Well, I'm not a moral realist. Again, I could talk about my
Okay,
more. I'm not talking
okay.
about. I could believe in the non-aggression principle. We could talk about that, but
Okay, so
I'm not
this-
a moral realist.
What kind of anti-realist are you?
I'm not sure what you
Emotivist.
mean by that.
He's an emotivist.
Are
Yeah,
you,
hold on.
you're a motivist.
Like specifically about like the truth table, because I don't see how it's not, because it's not truth table why am I not
Tautological.
I don't know.
I'm not yeah right, because aggression, hold on, because
No,
ethical
aggression
axioms
isn't a
aren't
contradiction. It
propositional
doesn't work.
connectives. No, the point is that ethical axioms aren't propositional connectives.
They're
so
not
I don't
connectives,
think
obviously. The axioms themselves.
Yeah, but it's
Those
an
ethical
ethical
axioms would be
axiom. I don't think it's analogous.
Okay. Well, the definition of logical necessity is when it's true in every valuation, and that's how we determine if it's true in every valuation. We put it into a truth table, right? Though you might be saying something weaker, and then maybe the lingo is confusing you. You might just be saying it's metaphysically necessary. In
Yeah, but it's
which
like,
case,
my
like ethical
point is
principle.
that you cannot deny it in argumentation without falling into contradiction.
Okay, sure. I mean, so is there any one
Is there-
contradiction that you think is like a corollary of the negation of the NAP, or is
What
it
do
just
you
a
mean by
different
that?
sort of contradiction? So is there
can't
any
argue
one
against
contradiction?
It would be a performative contradiction.
Oh, okay. So it's not that it's like a P and not.
I mean, it would be as
It's
well.
just like
But it's a contradiction.
okay. Well, okay. So what I wonder is what the P and not P entailed by the negation of the NAP is.
So what he's saying is that the talk, the speaking would be the not P, and the action would be the P. But the problem is that's not a contradiction.
No, that's not what I'm
That is true.
saying.
It's not a contradiction.
There's a complete strawman of argumentation.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that's a straw man because I think it's a really bad argument.
The point is, you can't
do you think?
derive a truth claim. You can't try to justify a violate. You can't try to justify any other norm than private property. Like,
Okay,
like
so-
if I do an action, hold on. If I do an action, that's not a performative contradiction. Like if I go on a grass, I go punch someone in the face. That's not a performative contradiction. However, if I were to try to justify me punching someone in the face, that would be a performative contradiction because argumentation.
Saying libertarian norms are a necessary condition for argumentation. That's what he's saying,
Yeah.
which is
Okay.
false.
Okay, but the
Necessary
problem.
condition for
I just-
actual argumentation.
This is just gonna end up in the
Any
infighting
argument,
shit, isn't
any
it?
verbal argument.
Well, there's a
presupposes
big problem here, guys. You can have a language of aggression, and so you can't justify aggressively. Like you can have a language where, in order to say any proposition, you have to communicate it with aggressive violence, and there's no performative contradiction there.
What?
Like imagine, okay,
Yes.
imagine. So look, if we're punching, imagine we have a language where we have to punch each other to express letters, right? So like, let's say I punch you once, that's A. I punch you twice, that's B, right? Instead, let's make a language of aggression where basically I have to surprise you with an attack that you don't expect, so it's aggressive, right? In order to communicate anything, that would be an aggressive language. Therefore, you would be able to argue aggressively.
You're a retard.
Yes.
Yo.
By calling him a who's calling him a retard is not an argument.
I didn't say it was an argument.
That wouldn't. That's not comparable.
Just thought it was funny.
Argumentation itself is something that is a conflict avoidance. It's non-violent.
I mean, sure,
it's
that's the
necessarily-
tautology. You're just defining it that way.
Yeah, in a sense.
No, actually, you are.
I mean, yeah, well, shit. I mean, I guess all language is tautology, whatever.
That's not what I said.
I don't think that's true.
Are we gonna get
There's
into
someone-
why socialism bad or?
Yeah, let's talk about something interesting. Come on, guys.
Yeah, this is like
This
so
is where we-
uninteresting.
Socialism
I guess I can recount the conversation.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Is it-
sure
does-
I just got here,
is
so
your
I'm sure you
recounting-
guys have
Is your
actually-
recounting going to go into why socialism bad, or an argument for why socialism?
Well, yeah.
good?
So that was the deontic path of capitalism
deontic
or
path.
libertarianism, but we could also go down the consequential route, like what economic system works.
So
Yeah, that's
I
what I
just got here. I'm sure you guys have defined socialism, right?
Free market capitalism
We have the
absolutely works the best.
Okay, thank you, buddy. Could you put it in the side chat what you sort of decided to define socialism as?
It would be the collectivization of private property,
Democracy.
workers owning the means of production.
It's democracy.
Sorry, could you say that again? Sorry.
The workers owning the means of production,
The
or in
workers
other words, the
owning-
collectivization of private property.
The workers owning the means of production. Okay. What are the means of production? Just so I'm clear.
Means of production would be private property, or in other words, any like scarce object that creates other goods that would be sold for a profit.
So,
So like
it's
like
sort of-
for instance, like a McDonald's, like the machines in the McDonald's that creates burgers, like manufacturing machines,
That's
things like
always
that. You know.
broken.
So if the private
yeah.
property, maybe I'm misunderstanding, so correct me if I'm wrong. If the private property is public, it's no longer private property, right?
Yeah, because it would because private would entail like one person having the exclusive right to
I don't
control it,
understand.
whereas
don't-
public.
I'm not saying it wrong. I just don't. Well, because you're defining means of production as private property, but by your definition, it's not private.
Okay,
so
so from the now I get where your confusion is. So from the libertarian standpoint, all property is private because it's all owned by one individual, right? Because that's how we would define it. But under the socialist logic, they would have two different views of property. Well, three, I guess more like three, a couple different views of property, which would be public property, then there would be private property, and then there would be personal property. So private property would be property that is owned by the capitalist class, who own basically the machines that create other things like manufacturing stuff, like I explained earlier. Public property would be property owned by the state or the public, in other words. And then there's personal property, which would be like a toothbrush, a house, or something that you own personally that does not generate some sort of
Okay.
like value or something like that, revenue or
Are
something
you,
like that.
so are you saying that in socialism there is no personal property?
No, what I'm saying in socialism, there's no private property in the sense that all private property would be socially controlled, either by the state or the groups.
But then,
group of people.
but if it's socially controlled, it would cease to be private property.
Yes, correct.
But then it doesn't make sense that you're saying the private property is collectivized because it's no longer
Well,
private.
because
It's
at
collectivized.
the
So you're
point,
contradicting
bef-
yourself.
hold on,
Private property
it
becomes
was
Hold on.
private.
Well, actually,
It was private, and then it became public.
Please, 2 seconds. Here's I just want to point this out. Don't
Yes.
tell me to hold on when you're the one interrupting me. Okay, use your head.
Okay, I'm just trying to explain myself.
I understand, and I'm just
explanation
trying to
is-
finish my point without you being a moron. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, all right. So
You interrupted him for
again,
that?
at this-
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. People need consequences. Go ahead, King.
Okay. So it was private when it was owned by the private owners, but then when socialism kicks in, it ceases to be private property, and
Right.
they take it, they make it public, and then they redistribute it.
So then we shouldn't define means of production as private property because in this case it ceases to be private.
Yeah, it would not I'm talking about at the time that it was private. It was private property, but then when it's taken by the state, it becomes public property.
So you have like a
State owned property.
retroactive definition of socialism?
I mean, socialism isn't something that has happened yet. So as of
Wait,
right
what is
now,
that?
we live under a private property system.
What I'm saying is your definition isn't what is the case. Your definition is what
How
we
they define it.
own
I'm telling you how
used to
they
be
define
the
it.
case.
I'm telling you how they define it.
Okay, well, can I evaluate a point even if it's somebody else making it, or is that not okay?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to do. Don't take it personally. I'm just trying to evaluate a point.
I'm not taking anything personally. I'm just clarifying.
Okay, well, to be honest with you, I don't care who's saying it. I just care about the point that I'm trying to evaluate.
Make it. No one's stopping you.
No, I'm not making a point. I'm evaluating a point.
Okay.
That was what I said.
Okay, so what's the
What's
point?
your valuation?
Well, you were about to find out, but then you started quibbling. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, if you like, is the means of production private property?
It depends on who's the owner.
In what you're suggesting, sorry, in what they're suggesting.
Yeah, it depends on who's the owner.
Who is the owner in the scenario that you're outlining?
If we're talking about under socialism, the owner would be the public, so it would be public property. If we're talking under a capitalist system, then it would be privately owned. Depends on the system that we're under.
And what are you talking about here? Socialist or capitalist?
We're talking about socialism and why it's bad.
Okay, cool. So we're talking about socialism. So in this case, the means of production, because the reason why I was confused is because you initially said that the means of production was private. Now you're saying it's public, right?
No, I said whether or not it's public or private depends on who the owner is. And as of right now, we live under a semi-private public system.
Okay, we don't necessarily have to relitigate but I'm pretty sure you said, when I asked you what the means of production was, you were talking about private property.
Right now, as if it is mostly private, but we live under a private public system.
All I'm saying, it was confusing to me to say the public ownership of the private.
Whether or not the means of production is public or private depends on who the owner is.
I heard you all 3 times. I promise you. I was
just for clarification, he was talking about the forms of all property, so that includes in a free market economy, and then also includes the socialism. Correct me if I'm wrong. What you're stating is under socialism, everything would be either public property or personal property. Personal property is basically what socialists say is private property. So your cell phone is personal property. Only you can have it. Your fucking blanket you keep in your house would be
Keeps
personal
giggling
property.
like that.
We're like
Kira,
a
just mute
warehouse
him.
manufacturing plant. None of that's personal property. Personal property is like your personal affects, your diary, your fucking cell phone, shit like that.
Exactly. Yeah,
Basically,
that's how the socialists would view it.
basically they demoralize you and strip you down in such a way where the only things you actually hold are your fucking cell phone, a blanket, and the clothes on your back.
That sounds great.
That's not very good.
That sounds
I
very
like my
demoralizing.
stuff.
Please, look, let's not socialize humor, okay? Anyway, what I'm saying is, if it just confused me because it sounded like what you were saying was the public stuff is private, but I think you didn't mean that. So okay.
Clearly.
No, he was just laying out that there's like different, like property exists and then there's different systems on how to handle property. So it's like which system is the best system to handle property.
I have a question that you might be able to help me with, actually. So if we have all these definitions of property, types of property, what makes them all property?
What makes them property?
Scarce.
Like like a scarce object or something, probably.
So scarcity equals property?
Like anything can be property, right?
Property is just a concept. It's a concept that us humans make to settle disputes over scarce means. So, for instance, if if I'm the owner of a rock, it's a concept that us humans kind of made up to settle whether or not you have the right to that rock or I have the right to that rock. So, property only really occurs when it comes to like scarce physical objects, because only then can you like exclude another person from that thing.
So if no humans existed, no property would exist, correct?
Precisely, yes. It's just a concept.
Okay, well, everything's just a concept, right?
No, the world is not a concept.
I actually disagree with you, if that's okay.
I mean, we don't have to get into
Please
that.
don't
That's
get
fine.
bogged down into this.
Yeah, that's like a
that's
side
fine,
thing.
yeah.
Look, hold on. Lee Channing, I'm willing to go down there with you, but I don't.
No,
think you, so I won't- I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh,
This guy's crazy.
Keep it on the socialism.
Property is
stick to
just
the
something
socialism.
that property is
Don't
just
question
something
my
that
assumptions. I can't get to my conclusions.
Property is just something that belongs to someone, so it can belong to the public. An idea can be a property.
Semantics, I feel like you're kind of
Physical
slow
land
today.
can be a
What's up?
property. Items can be a
Stop
property.
interrupting, please. Can you say that last statement again, please?
Me?
Yes, you.
Property is just something that belongs to someone, regardless of scarcity. Sand can be property. An idea could be property.
Ideas can't be
Physical land.
property, and
Physical
sand
land.
is scarce.
Wait. Let him finish his statement first.
A physical
Yeah, this is why
territory can be
democracy doesn't work.
property. Your own ideas could be property.
No, they can't.
All right, so this is what I'm going to
Yes,
do.
they
I'm going to ask
can.
everybody to just, because we have a lot of people in here, please, and I'm also live streaming, I do want to allow everyone to finish their statements before they move
Yeah.
on to another person. And I know I'm a bit
Yeah.
guilty of it too, so I'm going to restrain myself too. So,
Can I make a quick request?
sure.
Can everyone grow the fuck up, please?
Okay.
Man, shut
All
the
right.
fuck.
All right. It looks like ANCAP was going to respond to that, so let's let him go.
I'm saying that you cannot own an idea, and you can own sand. Sand is still scarce, right? You said scarce, you said sand, like it wasn't scarce.
Sure. If we're going on the fucking textbook definition of anything that has a limit in the fucking
Yeah.
universe, then sure,
Yes.
sand's not
Yeah,
scarce. Sure.
Yeah, it can come into conflict.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah. There's
It can
lots
come
of
into
sand on the
conflict.
moon, so therefore sand can be scarce, even though there's
Well, we're
there's a limit. We're
talking
limited
about,
to our universe.
hold on, we're
We're talking
using a
about
different,
conflict.
we're using
But
a bit of a different,
I get your ANCAP, and you're gonna say, but in the United States of America, we consider some ideas property.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're
so here's
against
the-
intellectual property.
Okay,
Yeah, so
but I'm
here's
not
the
making
issue.
the argument for
Traditional
intellectual
kings-
property. I'm just
traditional-
merely stating what
Yeah, but we're-
property can count as.
Yeah, but we're saying that it cannot be property. It's impossible. It wouldn't actually be property. It would be a violation of property rights, intellectual property.
No.
Hold on, just saying it's a violation of property rights does not explain why it is. So here it is, right? Here's the issue with the idea of intellectual property rights. And you are correct. In the United States, we do recognize intellectual property right as being an actual property.
I'm not for intellectual property rights. As
No,
the
I-
ANCAP, I used to be an ANCAP, so I'm certainly
No,
not
I get
for
that.
intellectual
Mhm.
property rights.
And you are
But
correct that the United
I
States
grew up
does.
and I got a job, and now I figured out that it's probably
Now you're an asshat.
Yeah.
So here's the issue
Embarrassing.
with intellectual property from the anarcho-capitalist perspective is that an idea can be copied infinitely. It is not a scarce resource that which you can take away from
Yes,
another
I know.
person.
I've read Mises. I've read Rothbard. I know everything there is to know about ANCAP.
Have you read
Okay, bro,
Priscilla?
but he's also clarifying for everybody on the panel
Anatomy-
and his
anatomy
Wait,
of
audience.
hold
state,
on.
all
There's
the shit.
we're also live streaming, so I'm also
Yeah.
clarifying for those people too. So it's not just
You
not
wouldn't
trying to be.
download
Oh,
that.
live streaming?
By the way, if this is your
Fuck you
chat
guys.
and you have live on the
I do have live in the thing.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Semantics, why are you so slow today? What's up?
Anyways, can I finish my thing and then I'll let whoever else goes. So the thing is, an idea could be copied infinitely. Anytime that you try to stop somebody from using an idea, which would mean in like copying something that you own. Let's say I see your sunglasses, I really like it, and I want to copy it. If I use my own property to copy it, you stopping me would be an invasion of my property rights because I'm the owner of that thing. So, yeah.
Well, but under an IP framework, like, you would also take into account the fact that I also own the idea.
Well, the
Yeah, but
thing
you
is, you
actually
can't own it because it's
you have
not
to-
real.
Well,
Right, but you have to prove
well,
that
we
you
can-
can
we
have a
can-
just claim to an idea first, right? You're the one making the positive claim that you can own an idea.
True.
See, the idea of ownership is that you have the right to, you have the exclusive right to that thing. But the thing is, you can't have an exclusive right to an idea. Anyone can use an idea without taking it away from the original creator. So, for instance, if you tell me, let's say we're like primitive cavemen or whatever, and you tell me 1 + 1 = 2, and then I go and I use it in my day-to-day life, I'm not taking anything away from you. That's why, like, when it comes to, say, like, you own a car, right, or a stick, and I take that stick from you, my use of that thing takes away from your use of that thing. That's where property. That's why we have property, so we could be like, hey, you have the right to this thing.
If someone pirates my
Yeah, but
if someone,
trademarks are perfectly valid.
if someone pirates my book,
Well,
I make less
Hold on, let
money
him-
from sales of my book.
Well, yes, technically that is true, but competing with you is not a violation of your rights. And I
Why?
can't
I made the
steal.
book.
Yeah, but I can't steal your profits because stealing would require the taking something that was in your possession that was forcefully taken from your possession and then brought into my possession. I have not done that. All I've done is made a copy and sold it.
Is there like a general term?
Copying.
What?
No, for like a transferable premium. Like not necessarily. Like what do you call like a right that you can buy and sell? Is there a word for that?
A right?
Property.
Mm-hmm.
Property
Like the title.
I'm just kidding.
No, but like it's more general.
or a title?
Maybe a title.
Are you talking about IP?
Yeah, I think that's like
No, just more general than either.
An easement?
That's the opposite.
No, yeah, you're right.
I think that's the title to a property. Like if you buy some item, you're technically buying the title to it to like use it, perhaps like.
So the thing is,
permanently
the
or for
reason why
some
it's kind of
time.
hard for us to say that is because we only believe in rights when it comes to property. We believe property is the only right that we have because that's the only time when rights are actually applicable.
Yeah.
Oh, I just mean like one that can be enforced through like coercion or whatever, force.
Well, I mean, you could
That's like a descriptive noun.
you could sell the right to access your body for a certain amount of minutes, right?
Oh,
To be
I
a
guess it'd be like an
prostitute.
entitlement, maybe like an option. I don't
Not
know.
sure.
Wait, what are you
Wait,
asking?
do you think that it should be? Wait, do you think that you should be allowed to sell your body into slavery? Like sell yourself into slavery?
No, that wouldn't be slavery. I wouldn't consider prostitution to be slavery.
No, not like prostitution. I mean like
No, we
sell
don't-
yourself into like slavery. Like
Well,
No, you
if-
can't do
the
that.
problem with that is that if sell yourself into slavery, I mean, if you're choosing to work there, then it's not really slavery because you're choosing to
No,
work
no, no,
there.
no,
And
no.
if somebody's
no.
forcing you, we would be against that because that would be an initiation of force.
I think what he's saying is like, can you sell your body to like?
Yeah.
Can you sell the
Can
right
you-
of your body to someone? And like you
Give
can't
away your
no.
because
That's
you can
impossible.
refuse any contract. So you can refuse any
yes, but what
contract.
if
So
I-
if you
what
do
I-
like,
but what if the contract says that like I now am like indentured to like work for a person, right? I
can't
can't
do that.
sign that contract.
yeah, you can just
And that's
You
refuse
what
can,
I'm
you
contract.
can make a
contract.
contract. You can make a contract saying, "Hey, I'm going to work for this person for this amount of time," but at any point, you would be allowed to void that contract and leave.
Why would I be allowed to void that contract? Wouldn't that be
Well,
like
because you're the owner of
not
your
upholding
body.
the contract?
Hold
You
on.
can't transfer the ownership of your body to another person. That's impossible.
Wait.
Hold on, I can answer this if you
So
want.
are you denying
transfer
my
the-
right
how do you
to what
transfer
I want
the-
with my own body?
I'm not saying that you don't have the right to. I'm saying that it's impossible to.
It's actually the opposite. It's that you
Yeah.
can't give your ownership
It's
of your body to
literally
someone else.
impossible. So how do you give your body to another person?
By signing a contract saying that
If I say if I sign a
uh,
contract saying I
title
own
of
the moon, do I own the moon?
it.
No, right? Just because you sign a contract doesn't mean it makes it so.
No. It depends on it really depends on how like on whether or not there's an authority to uphold that contract.
No, I think the
I mean,
problem is
obviously,
this.
in your society, like
No,
you would
there is
consider-
the
you
issue
would-
is the problem is that it's an untransferable contract because you cannot transfer you cannot relinquish. So for instance, for me to sell something to you, say let's say I have a stick and I want to give you that stick. For me to transfer the title of that thing, I have to relinquish control of that thing and give you that control, right? That's selling. That's me transferring the title of my body to you. Or my stick to you. But I can't do that with my body because I can't relinquish the control of my body. I'm always in control of my body. It's impossible.
Like your right to your body is inalienable. Excuse me.
Well, okay,
Yeah,
I
you
think
can't-
the
yeah.
problem is that you can't transfer your will to someone else. Like you literally, like, how am I supposed to transfer my consciousness to someone else? Like,
It's
like,
impossible.
my consciousness is linked with my body. It's not. You can't just like take. It's
I-
like
I
you
feel
can't.
like
Now here's the loophole. If you die, right, you could say, hey, you can have my dead body. But
Yeah,
that's
'cause
you're dead.
at that point, like it's
You have no will.
Yeah.
I feel
it's
like
alienable.
I feel like I don't know exactly where I'm going with this, but like I'm just testing like your framework of
No, that's okay. People ask me this question all the time, so it's fine.
yeah.
You know what's a good one? Can a naked man dance on top of his house next to a school? That's a good one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he can. I mean,
Yes.
if it's on his property, then
It's my
why not?
property.
Yeah, no.
Look the other way.
Yeah, no.
I mean, he's
That's
not
an easy
necessarily
bullet to
initiating force
buy.
against anyone.
Look the other way.
I'm gonna have to say no because
What?
your individual rights do not, discredit the masses. The masses are infinitely more valuable
Yeah,
than
but their
the
rights are
individual.
violated. No one's rights are
Huh?
violated by him standing naked.
The right to
on
the
his
children's
side.
innocence has been
They
violated.
don't have a
yeah.
right to that. They're not a thing.
Yes, they
It's not
do.
a thing. They don't have
Yeah,
a
they
clue.
do.
Right to
No such
innocence.
thing. No, it's not a thing.
And also, I don't really give a shit about that. I said, like, okay, here, let me say this. All right, let me formulate this in a better way. Okay, those children, if they have to see a grown man fling his dingaling around in the air whenever they go to school, okay,
It's not
that will
that big.
cause them psychological damage. We know
I
that.
don't,
Look
it's
the
still
other
not
way.
aggression. I
No,
don't
it's
care.
not
It's not
look the
aggression.
other
There's
way.
no aggression.
You have
the other
you
way.
have a no. That's not how that works
It's
whatsoever.
irrelevant.
Their eyes.
It's irrelevant
That's
to property
true.
rights.
personal
Their
responsibility.
property rights aren't being
Maybe
violated.
they should have put that
and
school there.
he's-
Who gives it? No, your property rights are limited as they should
No, they're
be.
not. No,
No.
there's
Yes,
no
they are.
limits to your rights.
Yes, there
No.
are a limit to your rights.
No, the only
You can't
limit is that
cause
you can't
mass
violate
panic
anyone
with the
else's
First
rights.
Amendment. Under the First
Wait,
Amendment,
you
you cannot
should be
cause
able-
mass panic.
The
Why do
First
you have to
Amendment
wait?
be
Can I
able
ask a
to.
question real quick? Why do you have the
The
right to
needs
stop
of the
me?
many outweigh the needs of the few.
No, it
Oh,
doesn't.
okay. I got a question then. I got a hypothetical then. Let's say, so you're saying the needs of the many outweigh the rights of the few, right? So let's say you're
I
on
never
an
declared
island
that.
and there's
I
20
said-
men and
Oh,
want to
shit.
gang rape you, right? The needs of the many
This is a
outweigh the
retarded
few.
argument. This is a retarded
How is it?
argument.
Are there any
No, it's
coconuts
not.
on this
Wait, how is
island?
it-
Actually, why wouldn't they be able to do
Bro,
that?
now I'm
want-
Yeah,
horny.
the needs of the
now
many
I'm
outweigh the
fucking
few.
horny. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's not a need of the many. That's not a need
Yeah,
of the
that
many.
is.
That's
They
retarded.
have a
on.
need.
Hold
It's a
on.
need,
What if
bro.
they need to? What if they need to have sex to live and they want to rape
This-
you?
Again, no.
Just-
This
no,
like
it's-
come up with an actual fucking argument.
It's
Wait,
a
reduction ad
hypothetical.
absurdum.
It's
Answer
It's
the
a
reduction ad
hypothetical.
absurdum. It's a basic reduction ad absurdum. Answer
Okay,
it.
hypotheticals have to be grounded within reality.
Point.
And that is not within reality.
Point. Hold on.
No.
Point me
It's
to the
not.
Gang
logical
rape
con-
is reality. Gang rape happens. This is literally
It
what
does
happens.
happen. Yeah,
Gang-
it does
gang
happen in
rape
reality.
happens most certainly. I know that, but there is within no instance of any instance to where somebody has to have sex. So-
Wait.
No.
It's completely
Actually, I
possible.
could
Doesn't matter,
give you,
it's a
I could give you a real
hypothetical.
life example. I could give you a real life example. So let's say you're the last people on Earth, and there's one woman. You need to impregnate that woman to keep
shit.
the human race from continue. So
What's the point? Yeah,
the
mankind.
needs of the
has-
many outweigh the few.
Yeah, does he have the right to rape?
Yeah.
What do you
And
mean
you're the
within
woman.
many? There's one
within
other
that.
person.
Am I the woman? I mean, within the
Yes.
like, I would agree.
Let's
Like,
say
I'm
there
gonna
are
be
10
completely-
men and one woman. Then that's a many.
All right, let him answer. Let him answer. Go.
No, like. So right now
we're talking
they're-
about
they're
we're
declaring-
talking about socialism bad and property rights and stuff like that.
Oh no, socialism.
obvi-
Like I don't agree with socialism. It needs to be much further than that. Now,
Wait,
What?
Andrew,
Democracy
hypothetical.
might
Don't
say,
run away
boy.
from the hypothetical.
either way, no. With the hypothetical, obviously that the species matters more than one individual's rights. No shit.
Yeah, so the needs of the many outweigh the few.
Right, so it's rape
Yeah.
justified
So you're gonna give
here.
up your vagina.
Insane.
Bro.
Yeah, like again. So whether you like it
Yeah.
or not, even if it's just because something sounds bad, doesn't mean I'm not gonna fucking agree with it. Okay, it sounds
Okay,
bad. Yeah,
no,
sure.
I just
But,
want
like,
to get this right. You think
justification
rape is
is
justified
Don't
here?
even grant that. That sounds.
So if I were to ask you, is it wrong? Is it wrong to to rape an innocent person? You couldn't say no. You would have to say, it depends on the situation.
Almost always wrong.
Crazy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
no.
It's
I
almost
can say
always
it's
wrong, yeah.
I can say it's wrong. 'Cause That is
Almost.
something that will
Almost
never
always
happen.
wrong.
So I can
Virtually
say
always
it is
wrong.
always wrong to rape someone.
Well, no, it's always for you. It's almost always wrong because in that one situation, it would be okay.
I don't
Yeah,
have
exactly.
to say that because it's an instance that will
No, it's
never
a blatant
occur.
contradiction.
No,
What do
no,
you
no,
mean?
no.
It
It doesn't
has
matter
nothing
if
to
it
do
will
with it.
never occur.
It
You
could
still
happen.
justify rape. It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Just
How
because
can you be so
like,
sure
you
it's
can
only just that
justify
one?
murder, and yet you can say murder is wrong.
No,
Well,
you
murder
can't.
is wrong. Like
Mr. Murder
you
is
can't.
Murder
wrong.
is wrong.
If you
It
Sometimes
justify
cannot be
the
murder,
correct
justified.
you would
outcome,
have to put
for the
the word
correct outcome, you need
sometimes
to do
murder's
bad
wrong.
things.
if
This
you
is
mean
a normal
statutory
fucking
murder,
thing.
then yeah.
This
But
is
if you
just
mean murder like
utilitarian
normatively, then
garbage.
no.
Yeah,
Because it's
hold on.
not
If
fair
we're
to
Utilitarian
talking
is
Murder
the
about
best
literally
murdering
just
or
fucking
means
thing out
killing,
there.
wrongful
What the fuck
killing.
are you on about?
That's
He
the
said murder
question.
specifically.
wait, are we
Because
talking
murder
about
is like
murdering or
normative.
Murder
killing?
is wrongful killing. You
Murder
wouldn't be
presumes the normative framing, so it's already like bad by default.
yeah,
But
you
I don't
wouldn't
know
be
about like
saying is
rape.
murder wrong. You would be saying is killing wrong.
Yeah, because you
Killing
wouldn't
is
see
not
that it is
objectively wrong.
bad.
No, because
So hold on,
murder
like
is
okay, so
bad. Like
guys,
by
let's just to
definition,
clarify
it's
this real
wrongful
quick.
killing.
No, just to clarify this real quick. So when we say murder, is it wrong to murder somebody, right? That would mean that it is automatically bad because
Yeah.
of the word murder. Unless you say, is it wrong to kill somebody? Okay, well then there's like some leeway because like, okay, well if somebody's coming to stab you and you kill them, okay, well then yeah, sometimes it's also okay to kill somebody.
Yeah,
But if you
'cause-
say it's always okay to murder somebody, you're basically saying, yeah, it's okay to kill somebody unjustified in an unjustified manner.
I don't know what that means.
You know,
Sounds
how you
contradictory.
define unjustified doesn't matter. It's just the fact that you say it's unjustified and you say it's okay, even though
By
it's
that
unjustified.
instance, most
Yeah, it's
It's
murders
interesting how
are
like murder is like
justified within their own
normatively
instances.
defined, but like rape
you're
is
going off
statutorily
individually.
defined, jurisdictionally defined. I don't know why
Wait,
the
hold
language
on,
works
hold
that way.
on. One at a time, Redify. Go ahead,
I was
Redify.
first,
Then.
but okay.
No,
Murder's
go
like
ahead. I was saying you go ahead.
Yeah, murder's like normatively demarcated, but rape isn't. It's like based on statute, which is interesting.
Say that
I think
again.
when people say rape, they always mean statutory rape. When people say murder,
don't
they
have
always mean like
statutory.
normative, like homicide, like normatively bad. They don't mean like homicide. I don't know why our language works like that. It's interesting.
Well, that's just a legal term, homicide. We're talking about like murder in the normative frame.
Yeah, but like when we say murder, we mean like bad, right?
Murder is also
We're
a legal
assuming
term.
that. When we say rape,
Yeah,
we don't
but
actually
killing,
necessarily
that's
do
well,
that.
that's why people differentiate the word murdering from killing, because
But we don't
killing
have,
would just be
sure. Yeah, I agree. But why
Yeah.
don't we have those two words for rape? I guess it's just like not very common to like have a
well,
virtuous.
because there's
sense
no
of it.
such thing as a consensual rape.
Yeah,
there
you
can never
can't
be a
defend
lawful
it.
rape.
No,
C
no,
and
there could be
C,
a
consent, non-consent is
well, there could be in
definitionally
some
consensual
jurisdictions,
rape.
right? If you're taking
Well,
like a
there's no such
statutory
thing as
sense.
a justified rape.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
could be. No, there could be.
There most certainly
What?
could be, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How?
I get what Redify is saying.
Wait, how
Okay.
could there be?
So it wouldn't be okay. I get what you're saying. You're basically saying that murder, you're basically supposing that it's a wrongful killing, whereas if you say it's rape, then you're automatically presupposing that it's a
Yeah,
forceful
rape
sex.
is analogous to like killing.
Yeah, but
I
it
don't know if
is.
there's
But
an
rape,
analogy to.
but the
Rape is
problem with
inherently
rape, right,
unjustified.
is that rape is a forceful sex. And in this situation, he doesn't care if it's forceful. So it would still be called rape. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think anyone stipulates forcefulness in their definition of rape. I think if you did like the analogy,
Well, then
It's
how would you define
non-consent.
rape? If,
Like,
like,
so
I don't-
it's not, it's just
Jurisdictionally.
non-consenting. Non-consensual sex is rape.
I
Okay.
don't think it's
yeah, so it would be
jurisdictional.
unconsensual. So in
think
the
it's
hypothetical
fully
I gave,
statutory.
it was unconsensual,
You mean
I don't think it's a
non-consensual?
great definition.
not consensual, whatever.
Not non-consensual sex is the definition of rape.
Yes,
I don't think that's the definition of rape.
No, it is.
it is.
No,
It
I think it's
typically
jurisdictionally
involves
sensitive.
force because that's how you typically get it, right?
I think that's a very
But,
good
like,
I think
definition.
when people say rape, they always mean like jurisdictionally.
No, okay, so hold on.
Yeah, but, like,
If
that's,
you
like,
rape,
positive.
if you take someone and rape them in their sleep, you're not using violence and or force to do so. You are doing it whilst they are asleep.
That's
passed
true.
out,
Yeah, that is true.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're
That's
directing
still
the
rape.
use of their property against their will.
I don't, I
Your
just think it's
body isn't their
statutory.
property. What the fuck?
Yes, it is. Of course
it
Well,
it
your
is.
body
Your
is your
body
property.
is not your property.
Well,
Yes,
if
it
they're your
is.
child,
Yes, it is.
according to this guy's worldview.
How
I
is your
don't-
body not your property?
How is your body? It's not your property. It's nobody's property. Fuck.
So you don't have the right to exclude others.
Wait,
No,
from
but all
being
I was
wait,
saying
hold
is
on.
body
What
in
is
this
a
case.
Wait, do you not control
property-
your body?
Yeah, you're
You
the
control
owner of
your
it.
body, but it is not.
Yeah, but children can't
If
be
you
owners.
control it, that means it's if you rightfully control it, that means it's your property, and you
That is not
rightfully
what
control your body
property is.
because you inhabit it.
Yes,
Well,
property is the right
the
to exercise control.
we
Well,
define
whose
property as the right to
property is
control
it?
a scarce resource, which would be any physical
Yeah,
object. And
that's
because your
not
body
what-
is a physical object and you have the right to exclude other people from that thing, we would say that you are the owner of your body.
when you really think about
that's
it,
not at all what it
the
is.
fundamental dichotomy
Especially
of Heisenberg's
Well, then what is your
principle
body?
actually disproves
What
that.
is property? Define property.
so
Yeah, how do you define
property is
property?
something that you own, and you don't own your body.
Yeah, define
Yeah, but what is-
ownership.
yeah,
That's
how
a
do you
circular
define
definition.
ownership?
Define
Ownership. The ownership of something is something that you can covet for yourself and only for yourself.
Is your body
is
your
Yeah, but
not
you're-
property,
that.
or is it just
That
part
also
of
applies
you?
to your body.
Your body
Someone
is
can-
communal property. If you want to say that
What?
by that to clear read.
What? How?
What?
How?
So if
How-
the
how it-
community wants to rape you, that makes it okay?
No, what the fuck is with you and rape? Holy shit.
Because
Well,
it
I mean,
destroys your
that's the
position.
logical conclusion to what
No, it
you're
doesn't.
specifying. Yes, it is.
Oh my god.
You want to take an irrational position towards a rational claim.
It's
No.
hold on. You're the one who made the claim that your body is communally owned. So if your
No,
body
I
is
said by
communally
your
owned,
sense, if you wish to call your body property, then by your
Private
own
property.
decree,
yeah,
your
private
body,
property.
private property is something that would not classify as your body because your body is part of the collective. You are the collective, not the
So you
individual.
believe that our
aren't a
body? Hold on.
collective.
So
How
you
are
believe our
you the
body is
collective?
collectively owned?
Yeah, because the collective is much more important, and this has been the conclusion of every nation
So if
upon the
if the
state
collective says
surface
that
of
they
this
want
planet.
to do sexual things to you, that makes it okay?
That's an why are you going with these irrational,
it's the
illogical?
it's the
No,
conclusion
it's
of
the
your
logical
position,
conclusion
bro.
of your argument.
No, it isn't
I
the
don't,
logical
I don't, I
conclusion
don't
of my
think he's saying that
argument
it's right. I think
whatsoever.
he's just
Yes,
saying
it
it's
is.
like
Collectivism is
it is
inherently
objectively
ties to
true.
rape.
Hold on.
No,
if you're
it
the
won't.
owner of something, that means you have the hold on. If you're the owner of something, that means you have the right to do what you want with that thing.
Collectivism is the.
Collectivism is rape.
Collectivism is rape. Collectivism
Yes.
is rape.
Yes.
True.
Okay,
Yep,
no,
that's
hold on, hold on.
True.
Unironically,
I
true.
Unironically.
definitely own my guns. Does that mean I'm allowed to just go shoot up a school with them?
Nope, because
No,
then you're
because you're
violating other
initiating
people's
an
rights.
aggression.
Well, then
Yeah.
you just disagreed with what your own statement.
Hold
so,
on.
No,
Because you're
You said
violating other
ownership-
people's property rights.
Hold on.
by
Let
doing
me
that.
define ownership. Let me define ownership from the libertarian
well,
standpoint. Ownership is the
yeah,
right to
go for it.
exclude another person from a scarce resource. It's not necessarily the right
Yo,
to
does
use.
anyone here want to analyze the debate?
Hold on, stop interrupting, please. I'm speaking.
I think in good faith you
also
should
live
revise your
streaming, so I
definition
want to.
already.
Okay, next person who continues to talk while I'm speaking is going to, or while another person is speaking, is going to be kicked from the room.
You said scarce resource.
Okay, so I
think
got
it's
you. I
related
guess I'm gonna have to
resources.
kick you from
Yeah.
the room then.
Oh, you're
You don't
such a
think it-
bitch.
speaking.
You're
You just
such a
asked
little
a
pansy
question.
bitch.
Oh, so you're gonna call me a bitch now? So we're
Yeah,
gonna
you're
go
such
into
a, yeah.
insults.
I mean, you're disingenuous.
Let's gang rape him. Yeah.
Yeah, this gets it.
No, you're calling it disingenuous. You're the one who's
Society,
being
you ready? Let's
You
gang
guys
rape
don't
some
want to.
Max.
You guys don't want to debate. You guys just want to throw insults. That's what you guys want to do.
No,
Max,
No, I just got here.
you're
I have
not
no
even.
interest
You're
in
not
insulting
even.
you. I'm here in good faith.
I think we all need to
Okay,
calm
so
down.
then
Coach is right.
my only request from you guys is that we allow each other to hear each other out. I want to do the same for you as well. I want to hear you out too.
Yeah, I was the guy who was speaking. You were giving a definition. I was just trying to like help you with the definition.
No, you don't need to help me, man. Just allow me. I got this.
Sure.
Just
Okay, go for
allow
it.
me. Or you could just ask me. You know.
That's
But-
what I was trying to do, and then we got into like this.
But I didn't
kerfuffle.
hear you. It's
So
okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But
It's
don't
all
worry,
good.
I
It's all
got
good.
you. So the thing is, ownership is the right to exclude. And also, I'm live streaming for anyone who just joined. I'm live streaming this, so I do want this to be listenable. So ownership is the right to exclude another person from a scarce resource. So when it comes to your gun, that means you have the right to exclude another person from using your weapon. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have the right to shoot another person with that gun, because excluding does not entail the violation of another person's rights. Now, whoever wants to respond can go ahead.
Yeah. So I think I would agree with that definition. I would probably change the terminology from scarce resource to just resource. But yeah,
Well,
I would typically
resources in
agree.
general. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I would typically agree with the majority of your definition. I would probably just omit scarce from the definition.
Got you.
Wait, what resources are not scarce? Would you say?
I mean, there's a variety of resources that you could say are not source, like hydrogen or other resources, right?
I mean,
And
hydrogen's
it
technically
depends.
scarce.
It depends on a relative scale, right?
By scarce, we just mean
when we
finite.
Really?
define,
There's limited
yeah,
amount.
when we Yeah, when we
Yeah.
mean scarce, we mean that there's an unlimited amount. Well, there isn't an unlimited amount. Which so, like for instance, oxygen would be considered to be a scarce resource too, because it isn't unlimited, right? So
Yeah, hydrogen. You could consider would you say oxygen to be scarce, but you would never say that nitrogen is scarce, right?
yeah, because it's a physical object.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
it is. He's
so is
saying it is.
oxygen.
Oh, I'm saying it is scarce because it's a physical
Oh,
object.
well, nitrogen is the most abundant source.
It
It's the most
doesn't
abundant
matter.
element in the atmosphere.
He's going off like the autistic definition of scarce. So
Does
like I would
anyone
the
want
economic
to
theory.
analyze the debate?
What?
because he's confusing normal people. All scarcity means is there's not an unlimited supply forever.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Sola, you and me. This is Rambo. If you don't know, we're. I think we're in good terms. So,
We're fine.
please don't call me autistic.
No.
I
I'm
think
not
Sola will
saying. I'm
vouch
saying
for me.
the ANCAP term for scarcity is going to be
It's not
autistic
even
to a
ANCAP,
degree
it's just
where you
econ
think
term.
where you think that hydrogen in the universe is a scarce resource.
It's not
No, they
autistic.
just mean
It's
that
just
you could make
economic.
Well,
choices
that's
on
just the
allocation.
economic terminology for it because
Yes, I
physical
know.
objects.
Okay.
Just
Okay. No.
try to
Listen,
refrain from using that word because you
I can
confuse
work
three
with that.
people
I
now.
just want to know that that's how you define it. That's fine. I'm here in good faith. I want to have a real discussion. I want to exchange ideas and stuff like that. So, go ahead.
That's fair. Anybody want to
So
analyze the debate?
socialism bad because it is a forceful extraction of wealth from others who would otherwise would like to use that money for their own means.
Yeah, I think as like an absolutist, like if you really like reduce it, you're right. But would you say extracting like 0.01% of wealth from like the uber wealthy and redistributing it to those that are less fortunate for like healthcare is a bad thing?
Yes. 100%.
Interesting. Okay,
And
so
here's
so,
my re-
so hold on. I just
Well,
want to.
I can give
I don't want to
reasoning,
put
but
words in your mouth. I just want to ask a real quick question. So like, do you like kind of ascribe to all taxation is theft?
yes.
Okay, this is something we can work with because I think you are correct. I think objectively you are correct.
Thank you.
Rambo, this
However,
isn't how you win debates.
Thank you.
However, there's a but, I'm guessing, right?
yeah, there's a however.
Yeah.
So, in the interest of living in a civilized society where we have an interest in the betterment of each individual, if you can cause an extraordinarily low amount of harm to people who are much more fortunate and redistribute that to people who are less fortunate, there is a net gain in their quality of life and the potential betterment of society, right? You could have people from the lowest quartiles of income and society grow up to be doctors and heroes in the military and things like this.
Heroes.
Yeah, I mean that's
Well,
Yeah,
we
but
don't-
they're not
why-
better at
why
managing
do
the
you want-
resources
that
than
guy
rich
actually-
people.
Yeah, so why do you want to take away the next Einstein is what he's asking.
right, because
Well-
I'm somebody who for me personally, I dropped out of high school at 16, but eventually I got a military scholarship to go to medical school. Now I'm an army doctor.
So what I would say is that I'm not sure saying that how me saying I don't think it's okay to rob people in order to pay for things that that person would otherwise not want to pay their money into is somehow preventing the next Einstein from being created. Have you ever heard of the broken window fallacy?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. And if the initial debate was based upon what you just said, I joined a little bit late. I'm just trying to get the grand scope of what's going on, the worldview, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is broken windows even a fallacy per se?
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
it is. It is.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's called the broken window fallacy, but it's not the broken window that is the fallacy. So I can explain it real quick for those who don't know what that is. The broken window, and I actually made a YouTube video about it, so go check it out after this. Anyways, so the broken window fallacy is basically the idea that sometimes people have this like belief that when you break a window, that it causes more economic
Oh my
growth.
God.
And the reason why they believe that is because, oh, when you break a window, you see somebody getting paid to fix that window. So that's a job that would have otherwise not have been there from their perspective. But the issue is that you're looking at what is seen, but what you don't see is not what is not seen. There's the seen and the unseen, you know?
That's
And the
I was thinking of the
unseen,
broken windows
Yeah.
theory, which is different, completely different thing.
yeah. So the basically the idea behind this is the seen and the unseen. What you see is somebody getting a job. What you don't see is the money that that person would have spent that money on had he had not had to spend that money on fixing that window. So, for instance, he had to spend like I don't know, like $100 to spend a window. So that before the window, he would have spent that money on a new suit. So he would have had a perfectly before the window was broken. He would have had a completely intact window with also a suit that he wanted to spend that money on. But now he has no suit and has to fix the window. So anytime that you destroy or force somebody to pay for something they don't want, that's value that they could have spent on something that would have helped their lives or made their lives better. That's value that could have been generated, but was no longer generated, was taken from them. And that can also be applied to the state because the state forces you to pay into its systems, and it spends your money on things that you would have otherwise spent on something else. So it's a net destruction of wealth. It is the state is a parasite.
Wait, are you?
Well,
Are you
hold on.
that's just factually incorrect though. Like, there's direct correlations with the increase of equity with like state spending on like social programs. That is
correlation
proven.
equals
It's verifiable. No,
Does
it's verifiable.
Johnny,
Does correlation
Johnny,
equal
you're talking
causation?
to this guy the wrong way.
Let's see.
The problem is what you're doing is you're looking at a study and being like, hey, when we implemented
Correlation.
this,
Wait, so if it were causal, you would just
hold
concede
on,
he's
stop,
right?
wait. Let me respond. So when you look at these studies, you'd be like, oh my God, well, we implemented this when we stole money from these people, right? We spent it on welfare. It made the people on welfare better off. But the problem is all you're seeing is the seen. You're not seeing the unseen. You can't test.
It's
You
not
cannot
cost
hold on after
effective.
the fact. Hold on after the
No,
fact.
Johnny B,
You've been
just chill for
talking
a
a
second.
lot.
Not finished speaking.
Yeah, well,
No, but-
it was kind of a back and forth between me and King, right?
Okay, I mean it's a public room.
No, actually, it's my room.
Yeah, but the point is that it's not a one-on-one.
There's a public easement.
Yeah, so you're not allowed. I guess you're afraid of my answer because you don't want to allow me to finish it.
Yeah, go ahead, King. I think I know what the logical conclusion is here because I used to think this way.
So the problem is when you show a study, right? You say, "Oh, look, I took money from this group of people and I gave it to this group of people, and now these people are better off than they would otherwise have been had we not stolen from those people." But the problem is you can't do a study to see how those people would have been that you stole it from, what they would have spent their money because you already stole it from them. And that's the difference between
You're
doing
saying
a scientific study on,
You're saying
say,
we
like
can't do causal
medication or
research?
something like that
There's
versus
certain
a
things,
study
though,
on
that
economics
different-
because you can't
there's-
see, okay, like Jesus Christ, you guys just really have an issue hearing the opinion that differs from your own, it seems. So whenever you do a study, you cannot study what is not seen, what could have been had it not been put in place in the first place.
You
You're
think it's
absolutely
impossible
right.
to do causal? No, you're not right. You think it's impossible
he
to do
is.
causal research in economics? What the fuck? You actually think that?
I'm not saying it's impossible to do research. What I'm saying is that
Or
it's
causal
impossible
research in economics.
No, yeah, it's impossible. Yes.
His
So,
example
like,
in this
experimental
hypothetical
design,
is correct.
quasi-experimental design.
So, for instance, and I can explain.
It's not real.
Economics is a priori.
Yeah,
Let
so
me-
I can explain why. So with a medication study, say like when you have like something like a medication study, you can have like a twin study where you have two people who are pretty much the same, and you could test that medication on that one person and that other person and get millions of different people, and you could see how that result would have been had that person not taken that medication in the first place. But the difference between an economic study is you cannot see how a policy would have been had you not put it into place. The only thing that you can do is take a neighboring city that doesn't have that policy with completely different people, with completely different study systems, with completely different tax situations, completely different businesses, and then try to compare them with each other. It's not.
You
it's
cannot
impossible to make a correlation from
evaluate that which never
What do you
happened.
think about like RDDs?
Say that again.
What do you think about like RDDs?
I don't know what an RDD is.
It's like a popular form of causal study in econometrics.
All right, go ahead and explain.
He doesn't. He's an Austrian.
Like
He
what's-
doesn't do economics.
This has nothing to do with Austrian. This is just study methods.
I'm,
If you have
I'm
like
not.
a,
You're the one making the claim. I don't know what RDD is, so I'm asking you to explain what it is.
this is like, school start dates is like a common example.
Yeah, sure, give it.
Like what we'll notice is like there's a giant discontinuity. People who fall one day short of a school start date or one day, after that school start date. And so like the degree to which that discontinuity is truly like at a right angle, you can do some like basic stats to say like what's the probability that it's causal. And you can have like within like 95% confidence there's like some causal effect there, especially if the discontinuity is especially abrupt. And there's like
What
a
you're
whole
saying
field of
from
like there's a whole
biostats
field of like
perspective
study
is
methods.
not-
Hold on, let him
like
finish.
QE.
Let her finish. Let her finish,
There's
please.
like a whole field of like quasi-experimental studies, and even then, like I don't know, but I feel like people say this, but it's just not true. Like the majority of published econ papers are causal. Like there's just I don't know who aggregates that. Is it the Web
How
of
do they
Science
determine
people?
it's causal? If you don't mind me asking.
Certain study methods are
We can do
quasi-experimental.
causation analysis.
Yeah.
So let's give an example of like the minimum wage, for example. So
Yeah.
let's say
Do we want a
there's some-
biostats like lecture real quick? Like,
Hold
or
on,
no?
like so no, we don't want to do that. So let's say like give the minimum wage, for example. There are people, scientific studies who say, oh, the minimum wage doesn't have an effect on unemployment. There are scientific studies that show it does have an effect on unemployment. Which ones do we believe and for what reason?
There's like a tier of evidence, like whichever has the best methodology. And then even then, like you could have conflicting studies with similar methodology, but you don't tend to. And then you'd want to look at like a
That's
meta-analysis
not-
that
that's not
synthesize those results.
But that's a problem, right? It's like almost impossible to
problem?
get a causal explanation from an economic study.
It's like the same in medicine. It's the same in the physical sciences.
No,
You
it's
can have
not.
conflicting studies.
Well, hold on. I'm a physician, so it is similar medicine.
You
but
can have conflicting.
people
you
are
can have
being very
conflicting research,
reductionist.
especially early research, right? And so you just want to like aggregate what you have in a systematic way, and from that you can like intelligently action on that. I don't know if there's like economic disagreement across the field on this particular subject. I have a feeling if you looked at Pell
Well, there
grades,
is.
there might be a different
There's
story.
the
I
Indian
don't know.
school and the
Can you
Austrian
demonstrate
school.
that? I'm
Oh,
not
yeah, there's
asking
the
like
Keynesian-
ideologically, just like results wise. Is there actually disagreement there? I don't know.
Yeah,
Can you
because
show me?
there's different schools of economics
Yeah,
that
but that's
disagree with each other.
priori, right? Those are no, but those came before the research. I'm asking like among the published research, are there actually like discordant results or no?
Yes.
Could you show us?
All you need to do is look up, go on Google, look up any
Have you done
minimum
that
wage.
before, or are you just like speculating?
I mean, I've done it before, but I can't pull them off my head. Every single study that I looked up, but
I mean,
the
the
thing is,
interesting metric
hold
would
on,
be,
can
like,
can you allow me to finish my statement? I
I
allowed
was
you
gonna
to
help
finish your
you.
statement.
Yeah, go
I've
ahead.
still not even got to rebut your initial statement.
Yeah,
But again, when
he
you
likes to load up.
so when you
But
make
no-
oh my god, man,
There you go.
talking to you guys is impossible.
There you go.
So what I was going to say is that when you look at multiple different minimum wage studies or any sort of study that has to do with economic policies, they tend to have varying results from varying different peak groups who are studying it. The reason why is because whenever they, the problem with like an economic study is when you can't see what is the unseen, which means that you can't see how that policy would have been like
No,
had you not
can
put it
see
in
that.
place.
No, but you
Yeah, it's
can. Like that's the entire.
How?
No, you can.
How?
That's the entire aim of like an experimental or quasi-experimental design.
How could
just
you
like the
see?
RDG.
How could you see a policy when it's
Oh,
not
yeah,
put in place after it's been put in
Redefty,
place?
I don't think he has a
The
higher
interesting,
education. I
the
don't think he has a
interesting, the
graduate
interesting,
degree, so
the
you have to be
interesting,
very
the
polite with him.
interesting. Sorry,
Well,
can I
I don't
speak?
have one either.
The interesting question is just like,
No, I
to
do.
what degree do you think there is like heterogeneity in result among these like published papers? Like, could you estimate? Like how much
I don't.
heterogeneity do you think there is?
I'm not like that well versed into it. All I could tell you is like there's
Yeah.
many different studies that have different varying results. It's not. There's
Okay,
no.
but like
it's,
if you
there's
think
not.
about
It's not very conclusive on. There's no like
This
Sure.
is so easy
But like
to
if you
like
think about like the degree of
demonstrate
heterogeneity,
with
like
laymen.
maybe it ranges from like 0 to 1 or like 0% to 100%. Are you thinking it's like closer to the 100%, closer to the 10%, maybe like 80%? Like mentally, that's where you
Wait, are you guys breaking up? Am I laggy or are you guys laggy?
I think that might be the
Oh.
Discord servers having some issues.
Yeah, everything was
so-
lagging for a second.
All
Can
right,
I just talk for like
The Discord,
20
the
seconds?
Yeah,
Discord
okay,
is
so
generally
Rambo, what is your name? Rambo has
Rambo,
been waiting to talk for a while, so let's let
But
him
can
go.
you answer the question
Yeah,
first?
so-
though? No,
so
it's only your
I'm
dialogue. You should
typically
answer
very
that first
succinct with
before you
Hold
what
on,
get
I
derailed.
didn't hear
respond
your
to.
question because the what was
I'm
going
sorry.
on.
Sure, if you imagine there's like a degree of heterogeneity from like 0 to 1 or 0% to 100%, do you have like some intuition there, or you think it's like especially high, like 80%, 0.8?
What
I
you
can't
just
give you
said
a- I
doesn't
can't give
even
you a-
make a lot of. No. What
Yeah,
they
I'm
just
not
said
sure I
doesn't
should
even
give
make a
you-
lot
you
of
have some
sense.
intuition here because you're making though. You're saying there's a lot of heterogeneity in result. So clearly you have some intuition about where it's at, right? Like clearly it's above some level for which you
No,
think
I
it's
don't have
reasonable.
the.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at every single study, no, so I can't give you
No,
a
but like, why,
concrete
when you
answer.
say there's
All
like
right, so
notable
Rambo wanted to
heterogeneity,
ask.
you're
I've
saying
answered
you're
your.
making a
Listen
claim
to me.
there.
I've answered your question, so now we're gonna move
That's
on to Rambo.
contradictory.
redefine
But
that.
it contradicts what you said
Yeah,
earlier.
So
Okay,
Rambo
gotcha.
talk.
So, Rambo,
Rambo, you
go.
don't
again,
disagree, do you?
not that it matters. I'm a physician. I
It
have a
does.
graduate degree. Obviously, I'm literally a
Keep bringing
medical
that up.
doctor.
Can you
Yeah, it
stop
doesn't
interrupting
matter,
him, please?
So you kind of talked about like this sort of broken windows theory where if you take $100 from somebody, they could have fixed their window or they could have helped somebody else, right? Like, so you took the money from them, and now they have to double the money to fix their window and help this other person, right?
Yeah. Well,
Is
actually,
it
can I
reasonable?
re-explain that real quick?
Well, no,
'Cause
I think we're on the
'cause you
same
got it a
page.
little bit off.
No, I'm just being very brief and colloquial because I
That's
do
fine.
understand where you're coming from because I used to come from the same standpoint.
Mhm.
Yeah, so $100 or X amount of money to varying levels of income, it's not the same. Okay, do you recognize this? Like, if so, I'm a pretty wealthy individual. If you give me an extra $100, it's not something I'm going to notice. However, if it's $100 extra for somebody who's going to buy groceries or pay their car insurance, it's a very big deal for them, right?
Marginal utility.
Yeah, so we reduce this sort of stressor on them and allows them to do something else, right? Because for me personally, if I didn't have my bachelor's degree, I didn't go to undergrad, get nuclear medicine
Rambo,
degree. Yeah, go ahead.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What'd you get on your step one?
Well, it's pass fail, so.
Okay, you're okay.
What kind of question is that?
Dude, every like fake doctor refuses to answer that, and I'm like,
No,
oh shit.
yeah. Well, it's just
Anyway,
pass fail.
I know. It's the point.
So I'm currently I actually just did very poorly on my my Comlex level 3 sort of pre-assessment. But anyway, yeah. So there's this sort of inequity with what $100 or X amount of money means to individuals. So we can accept that even though the absolute value is the same, it means something different to these different sort of income quartiles, and you can get different results if you redistribute that in a certain way, right? So if I take $300,000 from Jeff Bezos, he's probably not going to notice that much. But if you give it to an army medical student for their scholarship, there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of lives that are going to be changed from that individual's education. Do you recognize that there's a sort of inequity in sort of how that money is spent?
Yeah, but who's going to use the money better?
Probably. So it depends on what you value. So potentially Jeff Bezos could take,
Make him answer it.
we'll
Make
say
Sith
we'll say
answer that.
we'll say $10, or for me, like, you know, $100 or $1,000. Like, yeah, I'm gonna
Probably the
reinvest it into
medication.
SPHD or SGov, and I'm gonna gain like 3% or 10% on my total return. But somebody who is starving or somebody who wants that higher education, you're gonna see a much greater impact on society for those individuals. Is this something that
No,
we
here's
can
the problem,
sort of
though.
talk about? Yeah, no, I understand there may be
Doesn't
problems.
matter.
But can we at least agree that there's this sort of inequity that we result in? No, we can't.
Wait, really?
Well,
Now
there
we
is
can talk.
inequity.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't disagree with that. We don't disagree with that.
Sure. Yeah. So it seems like there may be a discrepancy on which we agree upon where it's okay and when it's not okay.
Yeah, but I would argue the inequities are caused by the state.
You
That's
could,
not an answer.
sure.
No, we can't.
But anyways,
We can't. It's incoherent.
the
Or
argument that I'm making
exacerbated
is
by
that
the
How are the
state.
inequities caused by the state? This is what.
No, the
This is like
question
the
is no.
main
The
thing we're
question
going to
hold
is
on.
like,
about.
is
Can
there
I
a
can I respond to that whole
Yeah.
argument that he made?
Sorry, that
You're
was
the
a
boss.
long-winded. But
yeah,
yeah.
so let me just respond to that, and then we can get into the why the state is responsible for for all these inequities.
Not the question.
So, the question was basically that, like, oh, if you steal money from a millionaire, or somebody and give it to somebody who's poor, that's better than them keeping that money. But the problem is, anytime that you take money from another person, that person, who is taking that money is not going to be as efficient as the person who owns their own money. The reason why that is because the person who owns their own money is more likely to spend it more efficiently because they actually earned their money. Whereas if you have a third party spending another person's money, well, they're going to be much less efficient because they're spending somebody else's money. It's like in with insurance, when you have like a insurance, they try to charge the company the other car insurance companies as much as they can to, because the person who is receiving the service is not paying for it. Well, that's basically how it works with the state. Every single time there's a purchase by the state, it's all third party purchases, which basically creates situations where the people who are spending the money don't own the money, so they're not incentivized to be efficient with the money. And there's also the economic calculation problem.
That's not the question that was asked.
So no, well, hold on. I think I know what he's trying to express. Is it okay if I kind of like explain this?
Let me ask one. Rambo, give me one. Give me like.
Yeah. I'd love you to explain that in layman's terms because I am.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not-
there's this economic theory of first party versus second party versus third party payments, right? So if you're the first party, that sort of payment, you're concerned it's out of pocket. You're concerned about what happens to you directly, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Whereas if you're a second party, the patient pays the provider, but with the help of an intermediary who may not care, right? Because they just have the contract. Whereas the third party doesn't give a shit. They're not paying. Somebody else is paying. But it's the quickest sort of route, theoretically.
All state purchases are third party purchases.
State purchases are typically third party, where
Rambo,
a random bureaucrat is Go ahead.
None of the money that the state spends is.
This has nothing to do with the efficient allocation. The question is just: do you think there's a direct relationship between how much money someone has, or how much dollars they have, and how happy they are, or could it maybe be a little bit convex? Like, could it be the case that like there's like a non-linear relationship between
I don't
like
disagree that
economic
if you have more
stability
money,
and
you're
like
more
quality
likely
of
to be
life?
more happy.
No, but
I don't
no. But like,
disagree with
is it actually linear? Like maybe it's
This
not.
isn't
I
a
don't know.
discussion whether or not
I
it's
don't know.
linear.
That matters. That matters.
He's arguing whether or not
I'm not sure
the
how
first
that's
party is
less
better
this
than the
current
third
conversation, Redify.
No, that's what Rambo asked you, but he was inarticulate. When he said the $100 to Jeff Bezos versus the
I was not
$100, whatever,
inarticulate.
he was asking, is the quality of life delta different depending on where you currently are? Is it a non-linear relationship between your utility and your quality of life? And if you say yes, then like the most efficient economic situation might not be the most efficient, quality of life situation.
It depends on how
for
that
everyone.
money is spent and who is spending that
No,
money.
it doesn't.
Is it
No, it doesn't at all.
automatically?
No, it
You're
doesn't.
automatic. Yes, it does.
Well, I
No, it
gave
doesn't.
very clear examples, just so we're clear.
But like engage with the principle. Like if there is that like non-linear relationship between like utility and QOL, then like the most efficient economic Q star bundle that
Yeah,
you
but
get
I
from your
don't.
linear
I don't
combination,
care
that's
about
not the one you
utility.
want. We didn't ask what you do though, right? That's what you
Well, no,
optimize for.
that's the question, right?
That's the
It's what they
neoclassical thing.
prioritize.
Have you
That was
taken
the
an econ
initial
class?
question.
Have you taken an econ class?
Me?
No,
Yeah,
I've never
absolutely.
been to college.
What is in your neoclassical whatever economics, the one you subscribe to, what do they optimize
We
for?
believe in
Utility.
Austrian economics.
Yeah, Austrian. What would Bastiat optimize for? It's utility. And what they mean by that is just like the linear combination of goods and services that has the market whatever equilibrium. That's what they're saying, which is like the
Okay.
most efficient allocation of goods insofar as like maximizing the number of goods and the value of goods. But the question that Rambo posed was like, hey, maybe there's not a direct or linear relationship between like your utility or your value or your assets and how like good your life is. And if it's especially nonlinear or sloping off, we might find that like more of society is just having a better quality of life if we take just a little bit from Jeff Bezos while giving quite a lot to everyone else proportionally, which is all he's saying.
Yeah,
And I don't
again,
think you
it
ever
depends on
engage with
it
that.
depends on how you're doing it.
And
No, just engage with the principle. Do you think there's a
just so we're
direct
clear,
relationship between like how much money you have and how happy you are? Do you think that's like a linear function?
Well, yes, but again,
Yes.
stealing from other people
So Jeff
in
Jeff
order
Bezos
to
is 10 billion
in the
times happier than you?
in the way in which you steal that money can make the what could have been more wealth generation, right? So the problem is when you take money from another person, you can't see what would have been created had that money been in their person
You realize that
after
doesn't
the
answer the
fact.
question, right?
So the problem is you can't really
It doesn't
prove
matter.
whether or not you can't
That's not
really
the
prove.
question.
Hold,
you
hold
have
not
on,
the
let me
question at
finish.
all.
Let me finish. Let me finish. So you can't really prove that you taking that money from that person, like a priori, that thing is automatically going to generate more utility. Because
You know
if
that-
you would have left, you could have.
Uh-huh.
I could just say, hey,
Doesn't answer the
Jeff
question.
Bezos could have invested that money into a company that would have hired a whole bunch of people that would have created more utility than giving it to some poor person.
That doesn't
So
answer
you
the
don't really
question.
know that. You can't test that after you've stolen it.
What is the
Still not
question?
answering the question. The question is, do you think Jeff Bezos is a billion times happier than your mother?
No.
I don't think this. Yeah, probably.
Really?
Well,
I don't
no,
know.
that doesn't.
That
I don't really think that
doesn't- I
makes
don't
sense.
know.
It's like
No shot.
that's it's.
Well,
it's
how
not like
do
a
you
linear
know?
relationship.
Hold on,
I don't know
how
how
do
you
you
even
money.
calculate. How do you
Yeah.
calculate whether somebody's a billion times happier?
There are like
there's a
unity
logical
norms
line
and
of
things that we
questioning that I'm
value,
trying to
like
go down.
what makes a life worth
Yeah,
living.
okay. Redify,
It's
respectfully,
probably
you're not
not
really
linear.
adding to the conversation. You're just like,
Yeah, Redefi's trying
Well, I
to
mean-
like browbeat you, and I'm trying to bring it down to like everybody's level who can understand things.
Yeah,
I
so-
understand these things at a higher level than I'm like letting on.
Wait,
Um,
Rambo, do you disagree with anything I said though?
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. I just don't think it's like the best way to go about this discussion. Like
Wait, can I
your
give you? Are you open
argumentation,
to feedback?
your argumentation is a way to win an argument, and I don't want to do that. I have no interest in winning an argument. I want people to understand how this works, right? I want
Wait, are
people
you open
be
to
like, oh,
feedback?
yeah, absolutely, go ahead.
I think you
It's
make
not my
a
channel,
lot of.
but go ahead.
I think concessions are liabilities, and when you like concede stuff like there isn't causal research in economics for no apparent
Yeah.
reason, I don't know why you even concede that like speculative stuff. I think it just is like not just not winning. I think it's just like unproductive. I don't know why you do it.
Yeah, I would argue the inverse, right? So I think this is productive because there's
Why
people
would you
who are
concede
listening.
things that you know aren't
There
true?
are.
Is it because you all yourself
here's
are
the thing.
confused?
No, absolutely, Jesus.
Probably.
No, it's because there's people who don't understand, and you have to listen to both sides, right? So you
Like
need a
there's
basic.
Uh-huh.
You need people to represent both sides in good faith and hear and produce, right? Because there's a logical line of argumentation that I'm going down, which is going to result in me winning.
I don't think you're very linear at all.
No, it is. It's you may not
hold
understand
on,
it.
guys. You guys are arguing
but-
about how we should argue. How? Listen, I want to
Is
hear
that
Rambo's.
invaluable?
Honestly,
Yeah,
I
not
just want to hear
valuable?
Rambo's argument. Honestly, that's all I want.
For what? He hasn't made a claim yet.
Well,
I'm
he
not-
can't
I'm
make the
not
claim
trying
because you
to-
keep talking
can I
to it.
speak?
Yeah, I'm not trying to make a claim.
Okay,
I'm not
I want to
trying to
let
win
the
an
other
argument.
guys go. So, and I don't want to hog the conversation either. Hemlock and Kai, if you guys want to jump in and com, you guys are welcome to jump in on this too.
Yeah, no,
can
it's
I-
like we're kind of getting like kind of like meta, like really like abstracted here. I would say from like
Is that bad?
baseline conversation. I don't
It
know. Like I
could,
feel like
sometimes,
where is
yeah.
this going?
Yeah, and again, I don't know what
Don't
the
you think when
baseline
we have a
conversation
scarce
was. I
resource
joined
of
a
like
bit late.
time, shouldn't we be intelligent about how we allocate it? Isn't that what the libertarians want?
Yeah, and we say that the state necessarily misallocates resources because it takes and people know
Yeah.
better. individuals know better where to allocate their resources and what they want than the state ever could. That's our
Okay,
argument.
I see the issue here. You recognize that the state by design is always going to inefficiently allocate resources
A
as
priori.
opposed to the individual, right? Do you understand
Yeah,
that's
like
always going to be a thing? If you are
Yeah.
not the person that has a stake to lose, you're gonna spend the money a little bit differently, right? You get that?
Yes. There's also the
Okay.
economic calculation problem.
Yeah.
No, but none of this matters, Rambo, because
No, it does matter. It absolutely does
It
matter.
really does
suppose it
matter.
were
Not
true and suppose
matter.
it weren't true. How does this bear on what you're saying, Rambo? It's actually orthogonal.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is that the state can inefficiently spend money. Oh, no, listen, just fucking listen real quick. Okay. Jeff Bezos making the extra $300,000 is not going to affect his quality of life. It's not going to affect anything that he does.
You know what it will affect?
But me as a physician, if I wasn't going to go to medical school and the army wasn't giving me a scholarship, it's going to make a massive difference. Do you not get that? That was the whole point.
Yeah, but
what it will
question,
affect is the future value. Like,
yeah,
it will
but
slow
I
down
could
the growth
easily
rate.
say this. I could easily counter this. How do you know that that money wouldn't have been if you hadn't stolen from him? It could have been spent. Hold on, listen. How do you know if that money hadn't been stolen from him? He could have spent that money on a business that would have hired thousands of
He would've.
employees,
No, he
or
would've.
he
No, no.
probably would have put it into the bank or into a bank with and then that bank would then invest in that money into businesses that need that money in a more efficient way, or he could have put it into the stock market, and then in that case it would be invested into businesses that then would use that money to hire a bunch of people. But instead he's taking it and giving it to some random person.
May
No, he
I?
would've.
You can't
may
prove
I?
you
May
can't
I?
prove that thing would have been better because you can't see how it would have been had you not taken it from him after the fact.
The
No,
problem is, even if it were true,
I
it doesn't
agree with
change
you.
anything.
However,
I know that's fine.
there is a difference in the valuation here, right?
No, but Rambo, why are you
So-
biting this bullet? You're wrong on this. He's right.
No,
Kid's
I'm not
statistics right. Like, reallocation of funds does slow down the growth rate,
There is a difference.
which is like empirically
in-
true.
There is a
Wait, so you
difference
agree?
in
Wait,
what
ratify
in-
it. You must allow
in
him to
what
finish
rewards.
the statement. Then
Yeah,
we
there's
will
a
let you
difference
talk.
in what rewards you sow between reinvesting $300,000 and hiring more employees, as opposed to reinvesting that money into a physician who is going to help you win a war by keeping people from dying.
Yeah,
Do
it's a net
not
negative.
recognize
That's an assumption.
It slows
No,
down
it's
the
not.
growth.
It's not an assumption. It's not an assumption. It's a hey, is this thing greater or
It's not
less
worth it.
than this
No,
potential?
economically, it's worse.
Okay, so
Undeniably.
so no physicians in the army are better than or less
No,
than
the market is
reinvesting
more
in the market.
efficient. No, it's inefficient.
The market's
Like,
more
that's not
efficient
why
than
you
winning
do it.
wars.
If there was a hold on,
The
I
only thing that
must say
the
something.
only thing that upholds our country is winning wars. Do
Why are
you
you
not
making me
recognize
argue the
that?
If a
libertarian point,
physician
Rambo?
was so,
No
if
way.
the physician in the military was so good, he wouldn't be in the military. He would be selling his
That's not
services on the
true.
free market.
No, the best was no. What? That's not true. That's
Yes, that
not
is
how
true.
that works. No.
How does the money? How does
I'm
the state get its
literally
money? They literally
hold
steal it.
on. You tell me as a physician, I'm a physician in the army. You tell me how physicians in the army are worse than civilian physicians, please.
They generally
I'm
are.
not
They
saying.
are
Whoa. I'm not.
No,
saying,
you're wrong.
They are.
Hold on. I'm not.
Well, yeah,
saying,
you're saying you're wrong. Please tell me how they are.
There's like a tier list. It's like
No,
large
tell me.
public.
Tell me. Oh, you said tier list. Tell me specifically.
Yeah,
Tell
Hold
me
on, let's not
specifically
get
how.
personal, guys. Let's not
No,
get
tell me
personal, guys.
specifically because you're wrong.
I can. If you would let me speak.
Especially with
No, generally,
general
army physicians
surgery or
rank
trauma
lower
surgery,
than-
physicians are much better in the
No.
military, especially the army.
No, the outcomes are way worse.
What are you
actually.
talking about? I'm in the army. Oh, outcomes
Yeah.
are worse?
Yeah, they are.
Are you kidding me? Are you retarded?
Okay, let me ask you a question real quick, and I can
Yeah.
explain. Hold on, I'll explain why it's worse. All right. Would you rather be at home taking care of people who actually got harmed from other people or legitimate situations, or would you rather be out in the battlefield in some war that we shouldn't be fighting because the state wants to take our money and put it out in bullshit and taking care of those people?
I mean,
I'd rather
for
just
example,
get rid of
you're
all
a-
those wars
Here's the
and have
thing,
you,
let me
in the
respond.
country.
Rambo, you're a
That's a,
husband.
that's a complete reallocation of scarce resources that we could otherwise have here in the United States.
Yeah, so
But
the
they have to
difference
tap you a
doesn't
high school
matter if the
dropout.
country
I
I
doesn't
want to hear his
exist.
response. Hold on, Ratify. That wasn't a question for you. That was a question for him. I want to hear his response.
Yeah, so let me explain. The difference doesn't matter if the country does not exist. Do you recognize this? If you lose wars, you get conquered. This is a thing that's been true since the dawn of time.
What war do we need to fight right now?
No, I'm not saying what we need. No, you're getting way too like you're going esoteric then specific, right?
But you understand there's a trade-off there, Rambo, right?
Yeah, of course I recognize there's a
It hurts
trade-off.
the economy at the expense
But
of
you're not
national
in the
security.
conversation right now.
I am in the conversation. You understand it hurts the
you're not.
economy. to
I'm
do so.
responding to what
Yeah,
you
but
said.
Redify, respectfully, you gotta allow him to respond, and then if you want to say something, you could like have your minute or
Yeah.
two to say what you want, but like we gotta like let each other finish.
So ultimately,
least.
if the country does not exist because you can't win the war, it doesn't matter. You lost.
But what war are we in?
We're not in a war currently.
So why are we spending all this money on this
preventing-
military?
We are preventing wars. Do you not recognize the difference between preventing a war and being in a
cause
war?
wars. We cause wars.
Wait, who
start
is
wars.
preventing wars?
Okay, well we're not
Military?
talking about. Are we?
You're gonna lose this one as well, Rambo.
I'm not gonna lose this one.
Like, and when I say
They all don't too much.
to military physicians are they're being misallocated. I'm not saying that as a spite against your profession. What I'm saying that in fundamentally is that it is a misallocation of resources that would have been spent right in the United
saved
States
more
to actually help
civilians,
more
yeah.
people, but instead it's being spent fighting some war that we probably shouldn't even be a part of.
Yeah, so logically you may be true, but in effect, military residencies are much better than most civilian residencies due to the amount of money that are allocated to them and the people that
Through
are attracted
taxation.
by them.
Yeah, because
Maybe I'm just saying as an abject truth, right? Like general surgery residencies in the United States Army are much better than civilian residencies. This is something that is objectively true.
Suppose that weren't true, though.
Yeah, suppose
Hold
it
on.
wasn't true.
Again,
I would agree
my
with
argument is not a spite
King.
against your profession. My argument is
No,
that
I'm not trying to.
This is a complete misallocation of scarce resources.
Yeah, so if we're going from an abstract point of view, you could be considered correct. But when you look at it objectively, what I'm saying is actually true.
No, you're coping. You're coping.
I'm not coping.
The military is not free. It costs a lot of money. That money could have
I'm
gone
not
away.
saying the military's free.
That money
It's a
could have
cost.
gone. That could have been in my pocket money. That could have
This
been
is
money
true.
that I could have been spending on a doctor, right? That I actually needed.
Yeah, it costs money to divert talent away from the private sector to the military. That costs. It's not free.
Of course
maybe
it
it's
does.
cool to be paid whatever.
Nobody
as, like,
said it was
a diverted person,
Nobody
but like it's
said
still
it was
inefficient.
free.
No, but like there is a trade-off between like economic growth and military spending, and you're making that trade-off. But like, don't act like it helps the economy.
It
I
never
never
does.
said it helped the economy. The economy
So wait,
doesn't
Redify,
exist if
now
the
you're on my
country.
side. So you're on
The
you're with the
economy doesn't
anti-vax?
exist if the country doesn't exist. Are you
Insofar as
fucking
his research
retarded?
shit, yeah, I mean, you have to make that trade-off. Like, how much risk can we accept based on like how much it costs? Like, are we getting a good like risk to reward ratio insofar as how much we spend versus how much we deter?
Yes.
And the
Yes.
answer is
Look
we
at the
don't.
golden hour.
We don't.
Look at
We
no.
don't.
You literally don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
it's terrible.